Woo. I just recorded a video and I didn't record it. So I have to redo it. And man, I almost burned my General Tso's sauce. Can't do that. Dang it, I did a good video, but I'm going to do it again. Yeah, when it comes to my topic, doing your best isn't running the route. That's the truth. I ran today. I ran on the track 7.2 miles. And you know, when I was running, I thought there was an easier part of the track. And I looked at the GPS and I gained 880 feet of elevation. I thought a track would be more level than that. That's kind of crazy. But my legs feel better. My cadence, 177, which is pretty good. That's like 15 steps per minute faster. My pace is a little slower, but all under 8 minutes. 250 watts. So, not bad. Yeah. Jeez, I had all the stuff that I said. I set off the camera. I'm going to talk about how things are going well, which they are. Honest effort. Just do the best you can. If the volume's not there, the volume's not there. And I read the article, well, some of it. I'm kind of guilty of just reading headlines about how the OIG walked out a lot of EAS people and employees for getting done too soon and not continuing to work. You know, that's the union idea of, it's just the wrong approach. But you can't change their minds. They don't see it that way. But yeah, I think I talked about, holy crap, yeah. No, this ended already. And then it's supposed to natural release. Usually it's done with the natural release by now. It's 10 minutes and 18 seconds. And a basmati rice. And I put the General Tso's chicken in with the beef. That stuff's good. And that's what led me into thinking about, like, how Rogan talks about how it's a choice. Yeah, there it is. How it's a free choice. It's not so easy as saying it's a choice. Because you do have people that can eat like crap. Eat Doritos all day, drink Mountain Dew, freaking eat all this crazy food, and we're thin, you know? It's not as easy as, oh, it's a choice to be fat, like he likes to think. It's crazy. I don't ruin my phone. Now, I'll show you my concoction. Here, my rice, basmati rice with some. It's easy. That's what I like about it. It's so freaking easy. Yeah, and that's why I was talking about drugs. because of how they freaking alter the food, which alters your immune, well, not your immune system, well, it could, but you know what I mean, like that chemical that tells you when you're full, and at the same time you really like the food. So if you don't think you're full and you really like the food, you're going to keep on eating it until you know what I mean, you're going to overeat it. It's easy. It's not really rocket science. Yeah. So then I latched on to the idea of like, well, religion and the Azazel, who I guess brought into play paint and jewelry, I guess, but swords and guns and shit. No, not guns. That it was easier to control humanity through desire. Probably a lot easier than holding them with a knife. You know what I mean? And that's like food. And then it latches on to drugs. And then when you talk about free will, you're circumventing free will. That's pretty freaking deep stuff. The consequences should be pretty severe if you're fucking with people's free will. And then I was talking about how I like my shit food. How it's pretty hard to get off a swing of eating shit food. If it's just so easy as being a choice, when really all Rogan's doing is sitting with his friends he's talking to and judging fat people because I'm fit and you're not. You know what I mean? So it's not so easy. There's ethics to be considered when is it a choice? It's not that easy. And that's probably part of the human dilemma, is we have in our minds goals to stop being so angry all the time. You know, it's such a choice. How come I'm always angry all the time? If it's just such an easy thing as a choice. You know what I mean? That's the dilemma. When you want to ask, I guess, God, like, why would you create this problem for humans to grapple with fighting desire? You know what I mean? It's crazy when you think about it. And then if you fail, you go to hell and you burn and fire and shit. It's not my meal. General Tso's chicken sauce with the chicken in the basmati rice. It's good stuff. I like it. So, yeah, that's the rabbit hole I've been thinking about. You know, like resentments on stuff. Like, you know, I'm a T6. One of my resentments is if I know that one of the roots is on my string and I see a non-T6 casing up a root, I'm going to be a little miffed because I see my job as my job, you know. Seniority shouldn't bounce someone off their job or their craft because you have seniority. Only if you're within the craft, you know what I'm saying? So that's just my point of view. How do you circumvent that resentment and not... It's not like I ever have a problem like one act badly, you know what I mean? But I always have a goal of trying to be positive and trying to be smooth and trying to be calm. And oftentimes, I'm lost in the head, you know, and fucking mad, thinking. And then that produces more thinking. And thinking all day about shit, justifying shit, and rationalizing all fucking day. And then thinking about this and thinking about that. And it's like that's the battle. And I've gotten better, though, when I realized the mind is the mind. And thinking. Once I realized that, it's helped me kind of put the brakes on that a little bit, which helps. So it's not good to constantly be freaking in a state of thought all the time about crap that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, this General Tso's chicken is freaking good. So that's the philosophical thing that I battle with. Thinking about existence, God, and at what level? When you ask for forgiveness for whatever, for being alive, you know, it's crazy. You know, skepticism of the brain. Like, I guess an example would be like, well, how the devil said, oh, Job's only pious because he has everything he needs. Maybe the moral of the story is that too. It's like whenever you're just doubting people with that kind of logic, that pessimistic logic, you're kind of siding with the devil when you're thinking that way. Which helps me realize that, like, when I'm thinking that way, I have a lens like that often. That kind of helps me unfilter, and I'm good at now catching that and then filtering that out. It kind of helps you realize that. That's what I'm doing. I'm being skeptic about people's motives when I'm thinking that way. And then you kind of be more positive. But at the same time, to protect yourself in the way the world is, you can't just like trust everybody, give everybody the credit, benefit of doubt all the time. But at the same time, don't try to take someone's positive and blur it into a negative through the mind. Like, oh, he's only being virtuous because he has all this cattle and he has life. So if you take everything away from him, he'll change. Well, actually, yeah. You know, obviously he didn't, but still. If you took someone's life and flipped it upside down and now they're mad, you didn't prove yourself right. You just basically perpetrated crime onto someone who's being positive. And now they're not positive because you perpetrated crime on them. So obviously they're not going to be positive now. So you didn't win the argument. That's the crazy shit about that, right? When you think about it. So you're not any more right than you were at the beginning. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I mean, for sure, when it's good to do good, but it's also good to do good without having to say or do it advertised. Yeah, that's good. You know what I mean? You shouldn't put it up for display when you're helping somebody. you're doing it for clout or whatever. Like you've seen some videos on YouTube where the guy is going around helping out homeless people, but yeah, you're doing that, but you're doing it on camera for views. And then in a way you're making the homeless person you're helping kind of the point of focus on a video. Not everybody that's homeless is going to be homeless forever. So what if this person who's homeless gets better, gets a place, moves up in now is in a position to apply for work, and they're getting interviewed, and the person interviewing them saw the video, because YouTube reaches across the world, right? So it's possible that it could cost them work doing this. You know what I mean? So it's good to try to think ethically about how you help people, what you're doing with personal shit, because obviously that's very personal. Someone's homeless and whatever problems that they have that is helped being created by the social economic situation they're in, which is social too, because obviously there might be feelings of alienation from the group, that they're poor, they don't look too well, and the judgment that is, and how they're treated, and how they're targeted by people, and then being hungry and being broke. Obviously, that affects mental health. Common sense. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure this shit out. So therefore, now they have someone with a camera putting them on YouTube. So, you know what I mean? I'll use some skepticism on that. And probably stay skeptic on that. I don't really care for that. I don't really, I don't watch Soft White Underbelly anymore, because pretty much all his videos are all same, pretty much. I get the point. Some of the stories about him going to Appalachian and putting more on the map the inbred people. You know what I mean? I don't really like that idea. So I didn't really feel too sorry that they lied to him. I mean, obviously you're getting all the subscribers from putting on camera people's personal stuff, their deep personal stuff, and some of the stuff you have to take with a grain of salt. When you know what I mean, people, I don't know. It's just, you know what I'm saying. It is what it is. I think, I don't really watch that kind of content anymore. But the guy Loft, he was pretty funny. I think he was kind of one of the pioneers of Let's Talk with Loft, right? He was doing it. Well, I was aware of his videos probably first. When it came to having a conversation, you know what I mean? Maybe even before Rogan. I love basmati rice. I'm happy that I went through with my plan to cook my own rice. And at BJ's, I bought like 20 pounds of basmati rice. And this General Tso's chicken sauce, it starts off sweet, and then it gets spicy. But it's not overly spicy, so I'm not suffering from it. So I really like it. I'm being like Lars Ulrich. I'm eating while talking on the camera. I don't know if you guys remember me talking shit on Lars Ulrich for always smacking his lips when he eats when he's in an interview, you know? Yep, and yeah, that kind of stuff, you know? Brings back the childhood memories of my sister. Always be snapping her lips. It's like, stop doing that. I don't know. What? I don't know. Stop doing it. But the General Tso's sauce is really good. It's easy to make. So it's easy to stick with it. And I'm kind of swaying between the chicken and the hamburger. Because I got the good chop. And I switched everything to hamburger. So I have the canned chicken at BJ's. For the money I saved by not going to Starbucks every day, I was spending like $5.50 a day at Starbucks. That is more expensive than the hamburger that I'm getting. So, yeah, I used the Cafe Bustelo and I adjusted the amount because it was way too strong. And I was like dizzy all day. And I'm like, shoot. Whew, it's strong. So I had to, the Ninja coffee pot has like a scoop serving size. So I'm going with 3 scoops. So it's a lot better. I'm handling it better. So yeah, that's the stuff that goes through my brain. It's tricky, life is. I try not to judge. It's not my business, it's not my business. People, at the end of the day, are responsible for their lives. But sometimes you find out things. And me, I'm not a judger. I really am not. But I guess ethically, when you think about it, you just think about like how did you find out? If you found out honestly, then don't worry about it. It's not my business. Sometimes in life, I've had friends who aren't part of the same circle. And some of these friends might not like each other. And it's like an awkward situation. It is. It's kind of awkward without feeling two-faced when you're not. But yet, it can come across that way. And I'm not a person that takes sides. Which that kind of makes me look like I'm a Machiavellian guy, but I'm not really about exciting conflict. I'm really not. So I'll smooth it over on both sides and not really encourage it if I hear it. That's just the way I try to, in my life, have tried to deal with that without encouraging the conversation, Some people might have a more strict, clear-cut kind of philosophy on that, where you're supposed to pick a side and
rather than try to be invisible to that and treat each person individually. Because that's the way I treat it. It's like my friendships are separate. So, why would I X one out over the other? Two different people. I mean, it'd be different if they were committing crimes against each other, obviously, but they're not. You know what I mean? So it's not the same thing. So it's tricky. So yeah, it's tricky when trying to think out the awkwardness that could come out of that. And then not making it awkward in my brain. And that's how I make it not awkward in my brain. It's kind of interesting too, when you write, if you read what you've written in your head, you can make it make sense. So what you do is you read it out loud verbally. And if you do that, then you can catch how awkward it is for somebody else to have read what you've written. And then you can proofread it and edit it in a way that can be smoother. Because inside your head, if you don't verbally outwardly read it, you can make it make sense the way that you read it inside your mind. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how we can deal with life. We can make things make sense in our brain. So, always honest effort. Try to stay out of the pool. Stay out of the vacuum. Stay out of the drama vacuum. Because it can suck you in without you realizing it. But you can always catch yourself before you get all the way in and then pull yourself out, I guess, if you want to. Definitely feels warmer right now. Probably because I'm eating warmer food. But right now it's 82. It's gonna feel toasty when it's 95. I have to stay hydrated. I use Source. It's pretty good. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me all this time, listening to what I got to say. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm happy to have a job. It's freaking crazy when you think about life, dude. It's like you don't get really stuck and be like, how the fuck? How the fuck do we exist? You know what I'm saying? It's fucking crazy. I understand. God made everything. But how did that even happen? How can you wrap your mind around he just was there from the get-go, but he wasn't created? How do you have no start point? You know what I mean? That's the mind-boggling thing. It's fucking crazy when you think about it. And then when you really start to comprehend it a little bit, not that I can, it's like, fuck. It's mind-boggling. You can't really put words to explain it. You know what I mean? It's freaking crazy. I think it's just like fucking life. Freaking A. And I've done this when I was a kid too. I would have these moments where I was like, ooh. It's just like, damn. You know what I mean? It's freaking crazy. The existence. Pretty fucking lucky, you know? Pretty lucky. To be as healthy as I am. Be able to see. Be able to move around. Freaking reason. There doesn't need to be a reason. You're here. You make your reason. And I dig finding what do you think God's will for you is. Yeah. I get that. I don't think God's will for me is to be a mailman. But yeah, trying to be less self-centered. Definitely, most of my problems is because I'm just really self-centered, and that's the reason why I take everything personally, and I friggin' wrap my brain around shit to get offended at. You know what I mean? Gotta celebrate other people's successes and be truly happy for them when they succeed. Clap, you know, not physically, metaphorically. You know what I mean? Be happy for other people. I'm not the only one. Yeah, and I guess maybe I'll find the purpose other than chasing money. Because really, life is not about chasing a dollar and working for Uncle Sam and trying to gain shit that Azazel freaking passed down to humanity. Needing to fucking look a certain way, needing to gather materials and shit so I don't get judged. That's just poison. You know, poison for your soul, I guess. That's not really what's important, you know. So I guess that's trying to embrace that fully is hard. Pretty difficult shit. Yeah, it's tricky. Try not to swear. Not kicking the Lord's name in vain. And I've gotten a lot better at it. But haven't succeeded fully yet. But life's life. We'll get lost in the rabbit hole. But it allows me to realize there's more to living than pursuing objects that don't mean shit. Because obviously they only mean shit because we put meaning on that. You know what I mean? So what the hell? You know, why waste your time? You know? So yeah, okay. I will catch you guys later.